Jules, you talked about the fact that it was a very broken up game, a lot of fouls. By the way, when you say 36 fouls, I always feel the need to go and say this, provide a bit of context, because I don't know how much the average viewer knows or listener knows what is the average number of fouls in a Champions League game.
It's around 20. This is the highest in every Champions League given season.
I would have thought it is generally betwing 20, 22, something like that, right? So just for context, there are a lot more stoppages, a lot more interruptions. But one of those, Declan Rice got booked after 2 minutes. And my Arsenal supporting friend, viewing it through his Gooner glasses, talked about how that booking changed everything for Declan Rice and it made him less effective. I don't necessarily agree with that, but did it?
I don't know. I didn't think he had a bad game after that. I just think that when you start the game and straight in, it's a terrible pass from Ben White, I think it is. Rice is not even looking at the ball. It's just, and you know this is not going to be your night. I think it's pretty obvious. I think there was quite a lot of nerves at the start of this game from an Arsenal point of view, and I don't know if it's a case of experience or no experience or what. It's just I think it looked like they were a bit nervous, and that yellow card just didn't bring any more serenity. I think it probably added to the nerves and to the fact that, oh wow, okay, here we go. It's a terrible start. One of your key players in a key position to get booked like that after 1 minute. Not just to the fact that he would have to think about it all through the game, but I think he's good enough to do that anyway. It's just, I think you get a sense that the night is not going to be good. And to be fair, he wasn't good for them. 0 shot on target. I mean, come on.
I want to show a little bit more love to Porto here, because look, it's two ways. We can talk about how Arsenal and Arteta approached it, but I thought, you're up against Martinelli and Saka. You've got Pepe, who's 41. Your fullbacks, okay, Jean Mario's quick, but on the other side, not so quick. And yet, I thought they took the Arsenal pace factor entirely out of the game. And they didn't just do it by defending deep. They did it by, I thought, doing a very effective job of cutting off the supply, so that rarely did Martinelli and Saka receive the ball in stride, and when they did, again, as you said, they had a very quiet night.
Yeah. There was just no, like I said before,
but that's preparation. Because they talked about before how they had super long video sessions and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Porto do against a better team than them. This is what they take away every kind of rhythm or tempo in a game, because that suits them, and certainly doesn't suit Arsenal. I mean, I looked at the stats this morning again. In the whole 90 minutes, Arsenal completed 6 deep passes. So they could not even find each other in the final third of the game. 3 of them are Saka, by the way, so on that right-hand side, and 3 for the rest of the team. So if that part of Arsenal game is not on, then nothing is working. And it's only down to set pieces, and that's where they were the most threatening, really. Only set pieces, because nothing else in their usual game, from Odegaard to Saka, Martinelli, Havertz positioning, Trossard, all of that, just was not on because of the way Porto defended, the structure of Porto's defense, the way they were doubling up very cleverly on Saka and Martinelli, the wide players. I mean, Conceição, apart from being the son of the coach, did such a great job defensively to head Mario on Martinelli. I mean, the guy could not stop running. It's impressive, and Galeno has that in him. So well done to Porto in the way they just nullified completely every Arsenal kind of assets and patterns of play in a way by how brilliantly they defended.
I want to talk about how this... Well, actually, no, before that. I talked about the Arteta benefit of the doubt thing. I don't like this lineup. I don't. I think against teams that... I don't want to say park the bus, because Porto did more than that. But teams that are clearly out to defend and frustrate, when you're not having any joy finding combinations, getting clear-cut shots, I think that is a situation where it makes sense to have Georgie in there from the start. And I think it's also a game where it makes sense to play Havertz at center forward. He's done it before. Just to have that greater physical presence. I know Trossard did really well in the 2 games and he scored a ton of goals, but those are against different opponents in different contexts.
Yeah.
And it's just not happening for you that night because Porto aren't going to open up in the same way. So part of me says, okay, Arteta got that wrong. Part of me also thinks maybe Arteta did this intentionally because, as I said earlier, he's viewing this over 180
Yeah, maybe,
minutes.
yeah.
And 0-0 at halftime is a fine result. Full time would have been, right? Is a good result. Is
Yeah.
Arteta that kind of person?
Yeah, I think so. And after the game,
So he's added this level of pragmatism or whatever, in your opinion?
yeah, I think so. Oh, certainly he's getting there, I feel. After the game, he said we need to prepare better. And maybe he felt like they didn't prepare this game enough in the sense, okay, the plan A is the same team that obviously destroyed Burnley and West Ham, which they are not at the level of Porto. Even a Porto side, as we said, that is not very good in the league, is still better than West Ham and Burnley. But you keep the same starting 11 because you've just scored 11 goals in 2 league games, and you think we can go away to Porto, and if we score, if we take the lead, then we can always change, bring Jorginho on. So I can also understand why he thought about that, but maybe the fact that he said we should have prepared better in a way, and we will prepare the second leg better, maybe shows that maybe himself was a bit disappointed by what they did tactically, that starting lineup. And maybe then if we think that the starting lineup was the right one, maybe he should have brought on Jorginho earlier and moved Havertz as a 9 before what he did in the 72nd minute, I think it was, or something.